Hello, beautiful, light-filled souls. I'm really excited about the Near Death Experience Summit in July. Not all of the speakers are able to be live on that day, but there's a lot of guests that are live. I'm really excited about the pre-recorded videos because these are intimate videos. I'm asking people to give me their best advice for you. And I'm really digging deep with these guests. And Lisa Romano is one of the pre-recorded guests, even though she's listed as live. And I loved that conversation. That was incredibly deep for me. There's a lot of topics I haven't talked about directly, and I'll talk about them in this video. This is going to be a little bit longer. We might call it Trisha's ramble, but I'm going to cover everything from forgiveness to being a scapegoat in one's family to the theme of this conference, which is practical spirituality. So I want to start there with practical spirituality. I consider myself a reasonable person and I care about other people. This is why I'm driven to talk about healing, to talk about spirituality, to gather people together. And I want these tips to be something that you can apply to your life now. And when I say that I'm reasonable, what I mean by that is I don't judge people on their journey. And there's a lot of people who will attack everything that you say and tear you apart if you have any kind of platform. And I encourage people to take a breath and go that everyone is on a spectrum of their experience and their truth and their healing journey and where they are right now. And withhold judgment, give a little compassion to people as they are healing, as they're growing. And really, your own light can hold the light of people who are struggling. And that's the beauty of community, and that's the beauty of classrooms, and that's the beauty of talking with other people, is not pushing them down for not forgiving fast enough or not being at your level of spirituality, but really just holding space for other people to learn. And I hold that compassion for myself as well. So there's a lot that I still have to learn, and there's a lot that I learned after writing my book, Angels in the OR. And for those of you who've read it, sometimes people want to know, well, where are you now with your relationship with your family? And so what is it like to be a scapegoat, to be a scapegoat of the shame and the negativity that a lot of people repress? So one, I do have deep compassion for everyone in my family, my parents. My father has passed on, that was part of the book. My mother is alive, and Lisa Romano and I talked about that mother wound. We don't talk. And I hold space for everyone who still talks with a parent who they find challenging in many ways. And I hold so much light for her on her journey. But sometimes things happen where worldviews are so different, where the interaction is so toxic and there is no possibility for a relationship. So families that scapegoat someone generally have a lot of hidden secrets. So this can be, there might be a child abuser in the family or several. There might be someone who is highly religious, who sexually abuses children, and the one who wakes up and sees this is often told you're making this up, or you are inaccurate, or you imagine this. And that's sometimes a lifelong journey just to believe in yourself and just to know that actually this is really common. And most kids who are sexually abused are abused by a neighbor, someone in their church, someone in their family. It's not a random person who just comes in and has access to your kids. And so that's a truth that people have to understand and sit with and understand. And a lot of times families don't want to identify this because maybe they hold that person in high esteem. And this person in my family has passed on, so I feel that I can talk about this a little more directly. But sometimes the most religious of people and the most judgmental and angry of people can be hiding a really dark secret. And that is, you know, part of the legacy of the scapegoat is the scapegoat begins to speak the truth and the family is not ready to acknowledge this, support that person. So it's a really difficult journey. You know, not only are you speaking the truth and being gaslit and being told you're wrong and inaccurate, it's a journey where so many of us go to the outer edges of consciousness. And I think a lot of times, even if you don't have a near-death experience, when you are initiated through being a scapegoat, then you learn to love yourself because there is no other love coming to you. You're actually dealing with a lot of negativity and a lot of misunderstandings and projections really upon you. And so you walk out into this world and you haven't been given the support that you need just to stand on your own. In fact, you've been silenced. And so when you begin to speak about this on a platform, oh my God, you get attacked, but this is familiar. So when people attack me for not being healed enough, for not forgiving soon enough, for writing something that might have been slightly angry, I look at it as, hey, that's just my truth. And that's where I was. And I thought that truth can help someone because someone else might be not even beginning the healing journey and they might benefit from what I say. If you're further along, then good. Then maybe you can appreciate the writing or you can remember who you were at that time. So I look at everything as a continuum. You know, our higher selves are informing us where we're going, what we're doing, how we're evolving, and we just hold more and more light for ourselves and for others on this journey. So my conversation with Lisa Romano was about narcissistic relationships and also narcissistic parents and what that means to us and how this informs us. And, you know, you can get attacked in so many different ways on this journey. It's hilarious. So if you speak about narcissism, you're called a narcissist. If you speak about healing from wounds, then you're blamed for not forgiving. You know, enough. You know, I'd like to point out that one of the things that I know I did right in life is channeling that love of God for people in the classroom and people I've worked with, no matter where they are in their journey. And I think that's the most important thing we can do for ourselves and others is bring more light, not criticism, not anger, not spiritual superiority, not you're right and I'm wrong and I'm right and you're wrong. No, none of that, but just understanding. And how do we understand one another? We listen. We listen to what someone else is going through and we connect with it. We let it into our experience. A lot of my students this year are experiencing anxiety. They are college students and they're completely online and they're there with their computers, and I've sent them many notes about how to process this anxiety a little bit differently. And maybe this will help you, but one of the things you can do when you're anxious is write a gratitude list. And I know that's simple and it's kind of common knowledge, but the minute you start writing, even in the middle of changes and life being dramatic, well, I have my health, or I went for a walk today, or I have this great pet, or I have some really wonderful friends, or I have this trip planned in a couple of months. Whatever it is that you're grateful for, this starts reinforcing, hey, life is not so bad. And there's some things that are going right. And also writing out your goals is another important thing. So look at your next 5 years and just write what you want to experience, because anxiety is sometimes excess energy. And when you give your mind a place to focus on with goals and with gratitude, then some of that anxiety diminishes. Now, I know all about PTSD, complex PTSD, anxiety disorders, being triggered, and this is way more complex. I'm talking about generalized anxiety. And there's more of it because we're also evolving. We're picking up on the energy of one another. People are becoming a lot more sensitive to energy. So if there's lots of people around you in your city who are anxious, you might be picking up on that energy. And so how do you shift out of it? Just knowing that it may not be all you. And again, just holding space for yourself and going, okay, I feel anxious. How can I feel less anxious? Usually nature is a great way to shift you out of that, to simply take a walk or sit somewhere where you can look at the wind blowing through a tree, and this can shift you out of some of those thoughts. So one of the things that I want to also talk about in this video is forgiveness. So if you are a scapegoat in your family, if you have spirituality that is not accepted by your family, then what, how do you get to real forgiveness? Well, first, again, I don't think that you push yourself. You open to the idea and you go, you know what? I'd like to be free. I'd like to not think angry thoughts. I'd like to close the book on that and focus on all that I want to experience in my life that is joyful and good and positive. And so how do I do that? Well, I have to forgive for my sake so that I can live the kind of life that I want to live. And that's where I think forgiveness begins, is you just don't want to carry any of that anymore. And I think that's practical spirituality as well, because we can talk about energy all day long and we can talk about all these different concepts, but what makes your life better? What makes your experience every day better? Well, it's more freedom of spirit. It's greater health. It's waking up and like truly being excited to do what you're going to do next, and to go, you know what? I'm going to yoga, or I'm making this great smoothie, or I am going to go see this friend who I love talking with, and just loving your day because of your spiritual practice, because of your meditation, because of the good things that you do for yourself. I think that's part of practical spirituality, things that we do that make our lives better. So that's what I wanted to talk about with you today. And I can't wait for you to hear some of the pre-recorded videos. If you have experienced narcissistic abuse in your life from a parent or a romantic relationship, I'd love for you to see the video that I made with Lisa Romano. And so this month you can use the code Lisa40 and get 40% off all the recorded videos. So everything in the summit that is leading up to the summit, as well as all the videos after July 23rd, 24th, and 25th. The live version will be in that portal as well, because I know many of you will join for free and just watch on my channel. And that's why I do this, because I know not everyone wants to pay or can pay. And so there's a lot of free material those days that you can tune into. But I just cannot talk to people for an entire week. And there's so many amazing people out there. And I wish I could do more, but I'm one person. This is all that I can handle right now. And this is my gift to you, really. Just, I do this for love and for this connection to spiritual community. And I'm so grateful for all of you who support me. You make it so much easier to withstand the onslaught of abuse that people really do get when they speak publicly. And I have to be honest that I think that as a woman, I get attacked more by men, and I also get attacked by people who don't like to hear about people talking about healing from victimization or healing from trauma. This is occasionally triggering to some people and they want to shut me down, but I'm going to keep talking. So, because I want people to keep healing. And if I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to someone else. And my wish is for everyone just to live with more joy, live with more happiness, and live with more peace within themselves, because that's what I think spirituality should be doing for all of us, is creating a much more joyful, happy existence. So thank you, and may you be blessed.